When did you realize you were being manipulated by someone you trusted? I noticed that every time I brought up something that bothered me in the relationship, I somehow ended up apologizing for something. That is an amazingly concise way of accurately describing my previous marriage. I have years of experience in that, and it's awful. You never know where the next blowout is coming from. Anytime something needs to be addressed, you might try to bring it up once, gently, if you're feeling brave. If you meet the slightest bit of resistance, or you don't feel like that fight in the first place, you just go okay dear instead. You find that you'll put the argument off until next time, and hope that whatever you thought to bring up won't have any consequences, because you'll be hearing about those, too. It effing sucks, and I'm glad you can speak about it in the past tense. Jesus, this sounds just like my marriage. The constant thought of is, insert chore/suggestion/request, really worth it? Knowing that if the conversation goes south I'm the one who has to sleep somewhere else, another room/my care/a motel/my mother's house 1,100 miles away. It's no way to live and will likely be the cause for our inevitable divorce. Your mom's house? That's absolutely not a way to live, no. I never want to advocate for a divorce without being familiar with the situation, but I really hope that whatever resolution comes of this situation, it's better than it is now for you. I found that this can happen as a codependent person, even if the other person isn't being manipulative. At the smallest hint in someone's facial expression or tone that my words may have displeased them, I immediately start backtracking and trying to console them. Of course, I think this stems from a manipulative parent in early life, and we just carry that strategy through to adult relationships. But I don't think it's always a sign of manipulation necessarily, as it's also a learned coping mechanism we need to unlearn. It's called appeasing, I think. It's one of the fight or flight things, where you are stuck with the danger and can't escape it, so try to appease it instead to stay safe. I do it all the time with everyone, and it's because of my mom. As a child, you can't necessarily escape that abuse, so you do what you can to negate it. It led me to having a lot of anxiety and partially kickstarted my mental illness in adulthood. I say I'm sorry to my partner all the time when bad things happen or he gets upset, which is usually not at all directed at me. We're working on it. I've also heard it referred to as a fawn response, to match the fight-flight-freeze alliteration. I guess it's sort of like Stockholm Syndrome. You've accepted your fate in this situation, so you try to make it as unpainful as possible by manipulating your abuser's feelings as best you can, always going with the flow, never causing a fuss. I too say sorry way too much to everyone, and have an off-kilter sense of responsibility for how everyone else is feeling. That sounds a lot like my childhood and teenage years too. Anything I ever had a problem with my mother, she would just yell at me and decide that I was the problem. There was one time she was telling me to pick up a hose or something, but I was about to dump a wheelbarrow load across the toad and I just couldn't understand what she was asking me to do because she's so vague in describing crap. I told her I didn't understand what she was asking me to do, so I dumped the wheelbarrow across the road, came back, and now she's effing pissed off at me. Dad and I share a look of confusion and just continue with our work. Couple minutes later she tells me how mad she is, how I couldn't listen or something, and I just flatly responded that I didn't know what you wanted and I was in the middle of doing another thing. Didn't change her mind on anything though, and now I got to deal with her bad attitude and negative energy and crap for the rest of the day. Epping same. Every fight my ex and I got into, I was the only one in the wrong. Then later she began stonewalling me because there was no point in talking about our problems because the arguments never went anywhere and I never listened. Even though I did everything I could to fix the issues. Turns out that's really common behavior from someone with NPD. I don't know if she has that or was just immature and completely unaware of her own behaviors, but that crap is not okay. When I started realizing that I was feeling like I was constantly walking on eggshells, I never knew which version of my friend I'd get when we saw each other, or when we hung out. I also just completely stopped disagreeing with them because I didn't want to hear them tell me how wrong I was if we didn't share the same viewpoint. Then you just stop talking completely out of fear of starting another argument. So you just sit in silence. Stop talking out of fear. That's what I did with my last ex-girlfriend. Everything I ever said she misconstrued as a personal insult, and that crap wasn't jiving with my mental state. It's not even the disagreement that's necessarily the issue so much as that some people get rude if you disagree and can't have a nuanced conversation. My best friend suddenly distanced herself from me. But every now and then she'd call and ask if I wanted to do something, and I was encouraged because I thought it meant that things were still good between us. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that she only called when she wanted to do something that required a ride, since she didn't have a car. The only thing I can say in my defense is that I don't use people that way, so I didn't recognize user behavior. You can bet I do now. Edit. Wow, thanks for all the awards. Quarantine had woke me up to that as soon as I stopped texting. First, they will never text me back unless of course they need a homework answer sent. I said goodbye and let a lot of friendships drift into the wind by not being the person to always initiate contact, and it helped show me who was valuing me for who I am. I did this years ago to what I thought was my best friend at the time. It was after once again having them cancel our plans, and acting like it wasn't a big deal at all. Like saying sorry, but it's pretty clear they're not, that I felt hurt enough to take a long hard look at our friendship. And I decided to see what would happen if I just didn't reach out first. I fully planned on going on as normal if they reached out, and not to even mention my test to them, but they never did. So I got my answer. Around a year later, another friend that I hadn't talked to in a while told me about running into them and asking if we were still friends. They answered that I'd just cut contact with them. I remember that making me so angry at the time, but today I'm happy we're not friends anymore. They weren't a good friend anyway. Lately, I've been reaching out to a few people who are normally good about making contact, and getting no response. It's baffling. Wasn't even asking for anything, not that I ever do. Just a simple how's everything, hope you're well / if you ever want to do a thing let me know. And radio silence. Oh well, I put it out there. Not going to write them off, but it's a lousy feeling. I do want to put it out there that a lot of people are having really hard times right now. And sometimes for some people being social, even with people they love and care about, is just too much. They totally could be dicks too. But if you think they're good people, probably worth giving them the benefit of the doubt? Same, but like sometimes I feel like I'm just being needy when I feel that way because it seems to be everyone is the same. I just ain't found the right people, I guess. Sounds good in theory, but a lot of people are introverted or have social anxiety, depression, or have some level of ASD and are so happy that someone reached out because it's so hard to for them. I feel like you'd lose the quiet ones in your life and both of you would be poorer for it. Intros need extros, and vice versa. Intros listen and love you differently, and it's great. Though definitely ditch the people who only want something from you. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm also an introvert and always shied away from initiating contact with anyone. Hell, to this day, I do not like talking on the phone with people either. Need something fixed on the house? Yelp or Home Advisor. Need to call mortgage servicer? Gee, I wonder if their website has a chat feature. All the built-up anxiety I give myself just thinking about it, almost gives me a heart attack. I value my friends and honestly, it's been a blessing since the majority of them are extroverts and tend to contact me first anyways. Careful though. Some people are introverts. They might value you way more than you realize, but need time to build up the energy to be social. Source: am introvert. It can be really stupid. That sounds like me. I'm a shyer person in my friend group, so I don't really start contact. It's not like I avoid the person, I just don't want to annoy them. I stopped being the only one to text or call first years ago. I also stopped hanging out with people who were using me. The result? I have 0 friends. People in general are just crafty, but I'm fine without them. I understand. But what if they're also thinking in the same way? Like the other person is also waiting for you to contact them. Just saying. Wow, I didn't even realize this was manipulation. It went on for about 2 years and I somehow didn't think anything of it. Damn. Thanks for commenting this. Geez, everything about learning how people act growing up sucked. I thought everyone was as kind and good intended as I was, but later I realized so many people took advantage of me and my personality for whatever they wanted. It took me a while to realize that people don't even think to themselves that they might be manipulative. They justify their crafty behavior with, oh, they won't mind driving me, oh, he's got the answers to the homework and will always help us out. My cousin once called me to see if I was busy. They were hosting poker night, and asked if I could watch their kid. I went a few terrible months after college without a car. I had to walk 3 miles to work since the bus schedules didn't line up with my schedule. What used to entail an hour outing, I now had to plan my whole day around. If it's pouring rain or I'm working past midnight and don't want to walk alone through downtown, I would reach out to friends in the same way. It felt better than asking them to get up and leave home just to give me a ride, but I also enjoyed seeing them and it was good to hang out with them. When I could, I'd buy them food/drinks, whatever made it worth it. It adds a silver lining to what I would have called a dark time. I went to so many parties, events, and met with so many people I'm sure I wouldn't have met with if I was just getting out of work. When I got my car back, I kind of missed the company. It kind of annoyed me a few times when I would reach out to someone and they would respond, "Let me guess, you need a ride?" Absolutely I do. I didn't ever mean to imply that I didn't, and why does it have to be a bad thing that our hanging out was spurred by me needing something? Most of these guys were good friends long before and after this. It's not like I showed up out of the woodwork when my car crapped the bed. There is a difference between asking for a ride and buying dinner, giving some gas money, or genuinely wanting to hang out or set plans up so they can have a good time, and being the person that calls for a ride home and doesn't offer for them to come inside to hang out. 8 years into the relationship. As we're sitting down, he explains to me that the first couple years we were together he only saw me as a place to crash and free rides, but he loved me now, and even though I accomplished all the goals he set for me so we could get married, he said, "I never really thought you could do it. Oh, and also you got fat, but don't worry, we can fix it." It was like a magic veil lifted and I finally saw who he really was. F you, James. Edit, but also, thank you. That must have been very hard to hear, but I'm so glad you saw his true colors and didn't get married. What a hell that would have been. Or even worse, had a baby with him. Marriage can be reversed, creating a new person can't. Well, you say that. I was waiting for this comment. Lol. I don't know James, but for real, F him. F James. Hi, I'm starting a petition to F James, would you be interested in signing? Sign me the hashtag F James up. New hashtag F James. Man, this sounds familiar. 8 years in my relationship too. Got out of it 4 years ago, super happy now. Yes. Also, very cute cats. WTF? I started dating a girl one time and while I thought she was pretty cool, I really didn't see it going anywhere. She was really cute and extremely sweet, and since she was from another country she was also exotic. But she was also a lot younger than me and we didn't have a lot in common, and because of that I was already thinking of ways to break it off with her within a few weeks of dating. That was over 21 years ago and we've since been married about 14 of those years. Together all 21. I would never tell her I thought about breaking up with her way back when we met. It would literally serve no purpose. She might think it's funny, we have that sort of relationship, but it might also make her feel bad. So why risk it? You dodged a bullet, at least it sounds like you did. See, he would have never said those nice things about me either. So I'm going to go with dodged a bullet. Congratulations to you too. What a terrible relationship to be trapped in. In a good relationship, two people uplift each other. In a bad relationship, one or both people put each other down. I hope you find an uplifting partner. I would never tell her I thought about breaking up with her way back when we met. Right? I've had relationships where the first time I met them, I wasn't impressed, but what would be the point even 2 years down the road of saying, "Oh, yeah, I thought you were weird and off-putting." Obviously at some point, my viewpoint changed. Absolutely. I've had relationships that have started where I never thought they'd last past the night, the week, the month, etc., but that's because I didn't know the person, and so of course I'm just working off of partial info until I get to know them better and realize we have more and we stay together longer and things get deeper and better. I think anybody who said they hadn't thought about breaking up with their significant other at some point during a long-term relationship is lying. Questioning is a very normal part of a relationship. My fiancé and I are both very open about how when we both got together we both saw it as a hit it and quit it. I was in college trying to live out my floozy years and he was from the tiny town my college was in and had no plan to leave and just wanted to score with this hot college chick. Well, 4 years here we are. I graduated college, moved to a big city to follow my dream job, and he came with me, Found a solid career he enjoys and popped the question about 8 months ago. We're also in the process of buying house and have 2 beautiful dogs that we adore like children. Yes, we're those people. Oops. Lol. Hit it and commit it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.